When we're young, we have an amazing, positive outlook about how great life is going to be, but somewhere along the line, we forget to dream and end up settling. Join Up Dots features amazing people who refuse to give up and chose to go after their dreams. This is your blueprint for greatness. So here's your host, live from the back of his garden in the UK, David Ralph.
Yes, hello there. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Join Up Dots. This is going to be a good one. This is going to be a good one because I'm all on edge. I've been away for literally 3 weeks now. I haven't touched internet, and I'm one of these weird podcasters that I say, look, I haven't done it for 3 weeks, and I go, why? I love doing it. I love spending every second of the day being wired up. What's the point? There's a life outside your office. Get out and enjoy yourself and walk around and see naked ladies in bikinis. That's what I've been doing, and it's been delightful. As is today's guest. He probably doesn't look as good in a bikini as other people, but I'm sure put a few drinks down his throat and it'd be there. But life is different for him. Life is different because he is a man who a few years ago was living a life like so many people across the world, working hard, playing hard, and spending a lot of his money in the bars on a Friday night. But things have changed dramatically for him, not just in a health sense, but also in a professional and monetary sense too. He gave up drinking in the face of incredible peer pressure, thinking he would lose his edge as one of the top brokers in the world, but soon realised it was quite the opposite. Spurred by this life-changing experience, he and his business partner, another broker, have created the OYNB movement, which is 1 year no beer, which for all of us is a bit of a problem, I imagine. But he inspires the world to look for a healthy way of living by speaking about improving all aspects of your life by changing your relationship with alcohol. And now, after 2 years alcohol-free, he now drinks in total control. He's passionate about helping people change their relationship with alcohol using their 30, 90 and 365-day challenges. But what interests me, as much as his personal journey, as this man is someone who quite obviously has the entrepreneurial spirit running through him, even though he has, for the main part, worked for companies throughout the United Kingdom. For example, for 3 years, he was the owner of Briaf Limited, a sales outsourcing agency offering telesales, field sales and sales strategy in Edinburgh before joining PVM Oil Associates as an employee again. So what made this occur? Is this business still around or laying in the dust of failed enterprises? So many questions to be asked. But more importantly, with his book, 1 Year No Beer, flying off the shelves at Amazon, members joining up for the challenge across the world and bar owners pulling their hair out for loss of profit, does he feel that this is the thing that he's been waiting for in his life? And how do you monetize a challenge which most people could just do on their own? Well, let's find out as we bring onto the show to start joining up dots with the one and only Mr. Rory Fairbairns. Good morning, Rory. How are you, sir?
Excellent. Thank you. Very, very, very glad to be on your show. Thanks for having me on. Fantastic intro. I can't wait to dive into all that stuff.
It is good to have you here, and it is also delightful to have a fellow Englishman on the show. Yes, you are 99% English now. You have embraced the English life. Is this true, Rory, or did I annoy you when we first connected?
Well, to be honest with you, you're right. I've embraced a lot about England. Both my parents were born in England. However, my grandparents all come from Scotland. And I was born on the Isle of Mull. So I still consider myself Scottish. And you can't get past the fact that if you call a Scotsman Englishman, he's going to get a little bit upset.
So do you wake up every morning with the Paul McCartney classic Mull Kintyre? Is that your sort of your alarm tune?
Yeah, Mull Kintyre. Well, only that's a very different place as well. The Isle of Mull is a bit further north than the Mull of Kintyre. Mull Kintyre is that stretch of. It's almost like Scotland's Willie, I think. And above that is the island of Mull.
Right. Okay. I'm going to look for Scotland's Willie, and no, I'm not. If I Google that kind of thing, God knows what I'm going to see. But let's get into it, because you've got a fascinating journey, because you are somebody who's rocking and rolling. You're doing something which is one of those kind of things that when I first saw it, and I'll be honest with you, right, this I wasn't going to share this, but when Rory pitched to be on the show, first of all, you did it brilliantly because you did it with humour. I get so many people that come on the show and it's just a boring pitch, and I think, I can't be bothered to talk to you. You sent me images of furry creatures, and then you followed up with other stuff. That's the way to do it, isn't it? Having a laugh in your life, trying to be sort of amusing, embracing just sort of creativity in every field.
Exactly. I actually just sent this out this morning. It's so relevant. But my wife sent me a video of my daughter going down a slide. Absolutely, just the fun on her face, squealing with delight. She gets down to the bottom of the slide, and she's like, "More, please, more, please." I mean, she's 2, and I said to the guys in my group, why do we need alcohol, or why do we need drugs to let this fun adventure person out? Why do we have to be boring and sensible and read papers and dull and if we need these things to let that out, then it's surely just inside us and we're holding it back. So that sense of fun is inside all of us, and I think it's really important to have a bit of fun in business.
I absolutely agree. One of my colleagues that I used to work with a long time, his office had put a slide in. So instead of going down the escalators, you can go from the top floor down to the bottom on a kind of whirly slide. And you've got all these businessmen whizzing down there with big smiles on their faces, because at our core, nobody wants to be a boring businessman. We all want to have fun. We all want to enjoy ourselves. And I was coming back on the plane on British Airways, and I was listening to an interview with the British comedian David Walliams, and he said something which I basically touch on every single episode, that up to our school days when we're sort of like 5, that's our core essence. That's when society hasn't told us how to perform and how to act, and we just do stuff because we want to do it. And that's the kind of thing that gets lost. You put businessmen on a slide and they reconnect with their younger selves. Everybody wants fun in their life, don't they?
That's exactly it. When we've just finished building our house, putting an extension on the back, and the beam along our balcony looking over the garden, I had the builders put a ring in because I want to put I call it death slide, but it's called a zip wire from the bedroom out into the garden. And the kids are a little bit young for that yet, but as soon as they're old enough, can you imagine it going to work in the morning via zip wire?
I can imagine it. I just spent a whole day zip wiring around St. Lucia in the Caribbean, and it was great. It was absolutely brilliant, whizzing through the jungle and these kind of things. It's fun. It's fun, and that's what Join Up Dots is all about. That's what we want in our life. So, Rory, why did you used to drink so much? Let's share this. Why, when you was out and about enjoying life, having a family to go home, did the pull of the pub grab you? And instead of whizzing home to the arms of your lover, you went there and you slung copious amounts of alcohol down your throat. Why was that?
Well, I think let's quantify, first of all, how much I was drinking. I think probably when I decided to stop, I was probably drunk twice a week, or at least once a week, sometimes twice a week. And for me, that might have been a lunch which carried on because I'm entertaining, and that's part of my job as a broker. Or it might have been, going out with a mate in the evening and maybe doing something at the weekend. So not really that much. And I never went home drinking and carried on. That was the end for me. But I just knew it was causing problems. It was causing frustration in my relationship. And really I thought that was something else. I didn't think it was the alcohol. I blamed other reasons for the problems in my relationship. Her anger. Really, I didn't blame alcohol for any of the problems in my life. I think that's very similar to a lot of people. They're not looking at this. So like, no, drinking's fine. Drinking helps me be successful. Drinking helps me be fun, connect with people. That's what they feel. And it's only when they take a break, when I took a break, that I realized, oh my God, I could not believe how much more positively my life became. In
what ways? Jumping in there, in what ways? What was the first thing that really made it positive for you?
So I think originally I gave it up to prove that it wasn't the problem, and I stopped for 90 days. And on the 90 days, the first thing that starts to happen is you get this sort of energy come back. You sleep better. You just feel happier. And you can feel productivity start to increase. I decided to carry on, and I actually carried on for 2 years. During that 2 years, I built this startup program. I project managed the entire renovation rebuild of a house. It was basically a 200-year-old barn, which was only 50% converted. I had a newborn baby. We started to work on a project building up on the Isle of Mull, where I'm from. So I achieved so much because I had all this energy. And I had, we had one of the world's leading productivity coaches come on our program, and he said, I've spent my life studying productivity, and I never realized how much productivity gain there is to have by going alcohol free, and he only drank 2 beers a night.
I went out last night and I went karaokeing. And it was on the anniversary of Elvis's 40th birthday, and so the whole pub was just doing Elvis all the time. So I stepped up to the mantle and I did "Never Gonna Give You Up" by Rick Astley, which is one of my favourites, and then shouted "Astley has left the building," and walked out the pub. And I had 2 beers last night, which was a bit ironic because I don't really drink. Right. At all. And even though I had 2 beers, I came home and just basically sat on the sofa and had a little sleep. And I've now got to the point where literally if I drink... I used to drink when I was up in the city of London. I used to drink like 5 pints every lunchtime. Every lunchtime you used to go out, sling a load of beer down your throat, come back in the afternoon, and the afternoon was pretty much planning what you were going to do in the evening again before you sort of did it the next morning, and you sort of just basically went on this sort of rotation of beer and alcohol all the time. But now if I drink 2 pints, it really affects me. Now, where it affects me most is when I look at my wallet and I think to myself, I spent 16 quid last night and all I've got is nothing. I've got nothing, what's the point in that? It's a big financial thing as well, isn't it? Away from the productivity, the energy levels, throwing money at it can be invested into other parts of your life and you actually got something to hold on to.
Definitely. I mean, if you're going out in London regularly, the cost of drinking is massive. 5 quid a pint, 5 pints, handy a few lunchtimes. That all adds up. Taxis, kebabs, late last night, so it massively adds up. And, the money aspect is definitely the bonus. Where you can start to add your money in. But I think for most people, nobody wants to give up drinking. But what they don't want is they don't want these cracks in their life. And if you look at what people are searching for, they're searching for, why am I not sleeping well? Why am I feeling depressed? Why am I anxious? Why have I got some liver pains? Blah, 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 blah. And they're like, do you think it could be the alcohol? And I'm like, yes, without a doubt. If you understand what alcohol is, it's basically one step away from gasoline. It's ethanol. If you understand what it is, I don't want to go down that route because the whole world is going, oh, it's unhealthy for you. And, as far as we're concerned, David, I'm getting cancer from my shoes right now, in today's world. And it's just every corner you look, it's another health scare. I don't care about all of that. What we're talking about is this is about getting an upside in life. It's about improving your life, feeling happier, getting shit done for a year, because you're productive and you feel happy and improving your relationship.
Now, I've lost all my productivity because I've been Googling Scottish Willies for the last 5 minutes. I can't stop. I've been pushed down there. So is this your full-time gig now? Because I looked at it and I found it fascinating, but my first thought was, how the hell do you monetize this?
I'm still a full-time broker, and my co-founder is still a full-time broker. Without a doubt, one day it would be fantastic to be running 1 Year No Beer. And I think if you think about what we are going to become, next year we're launching our app, and that's sort of stage 2, really. Stage 1 has been MVP, and we're now 16,000 members in 100 countries. MVP is minimum viable product, for those who didn't know that. So next year we release our app, and we sort of focus on Headspace for alcohol, and this is really rewiring the brain, getting people to change their relationship, control their drinking, and various different pathways you can follow within the app. And then following on from that, we're building Weight Watchers for alcohol, and this is where individuals who've been inspired by the change, want to help other people to become inspired, can host localized meetups in their area all over the world. And when we talk about meetups, which we have all over the world, we're not talking about people sitting in a room talking about their problems. No, there's enough of that going on. We're talking about people going to fitness classes or Tough Mudders or exercise or meeting at sober raves, vibrant, happy, healthy, sociable people who are getting their kicks and their social need in life, which is absolutely intrinsic to our very being, from natural places, healthy places, rather than where they feel they need to get it, which is in the pub. And one key thing I just want to add in there, David, is what you said in the start is, how are the pub managers feeling about this, when pubs are closing hand over hand? And, this can get quite a lot of people's backs up. And this is what I've got to say. To all the pub owners in the world out there, I hope you know that the biggest growth market in the world globally is non-alcoholic beer. It's one of the only alcohol markets which is growing. And the reason is there's a massive paradigm shift going on out there. And we don't want to walk into the pub anymore and order Coke on tap or lemonade on tap. We want to come in and we want to have non-alcoholic beers. We want non-alcoholic spirits. We want non-alcoholic wines. And we want to socialize with our friends without needing to pour basically a poison down our throat.
It's a shocking state of affairs when you say it like that, but it's also quite fun to do, isn't it? That's the problem. It is. It's one of those things.
Well, that's why I drink on. I still drink now. So I did 2 years not drinking, and then I said, God, I think my life's got a bit boring. I still need to drink now and again, and I still want to go to the occasional stag do and get smashed out of my brains. And equally, I've done a number of stag do's completely sober and loved them. And I think that's the two balances.
No, you haven't. I'm jumping in there. There is nothing worse than being with a load of drunk fellas if you are sober. That is the world. So you going on a stag do when you was totally sober, you hated it.
I loved it.
No, you didn't. You hated it. You hated it. You hated it. You just admit it. You hated it.
David, I wrote about this. And it nearly went viral. And it's because it's so much of our conditioning about alcohol makes us believe you're boring when you don't drink. And it's nonsense. You go out with a whole bunch of drunk people and you are the one making them drunk. You are the one making them. When you were younger, you used to dance without any alcohol. You used to have fun without any alcohol. And now you believe you need it. We're all so ingrained that we need alcohol to have a good time. And when you change that mindset, then you don't feel those things. Quite a few of the guys in my office, one guy in particular, senior management at my company, he now doesn't drink at all. He loves going out with the guys still. He goes to the pub almost every weekend. He's the driver. He looks after people. He stays out till 3 o'clock in the morning because he's like, I've realized that I don't need it.
Yeah, I know. Nobody needs it. Nobody needs it. And I'm not saying that the people that abstain are boring. It's just the people that are drunk are idiots. And everything they say is not funny. And you just think, am I really like that? I've gone out for meals when my mates have been throwing it down the throat. When I was younger, I never used to drink at all. And I remember I actually started drinking because I got fed up with being the taxi driver. And it was always me that had to leave the house earlier than anyone else. And I got home later than everyone else because I was dropping everybody else. And this one day I thought, well, I'm going to have a few pints to screw them up. And they couldn't believe it. They were shocked because this taxi driving sort of system went out the window. But you don't want to be with drunk people. They're not funny. They're just sweaty. It's not fun. We're not boring. They're just idiots.
Yeah. No, you've got to agree with that in part for sure. So that's why you don't go out as much as you used to. Of course, you want, but you're doing things that you want to do. You picked up another hobby, or you're starting your business, or you've got this extra energy and you want to do the things that you want to do in life. Less of hanging around with drunk people talking rubbish, the same thing 8 times over.
Right, okay, so just before I play the words of Jim Carrey, which we like to do at this point, I just wanted to jump back. You said that you had members, 16,000 members, did you say?
Over 16,000 members in 100 countries.
Now, that is astonishing, especially for quite a new organisation that you've got. Why the hell is that not a full-time gig now? Why the hell are they not paying £1 a month and you've got $8,000 each? Well, why? I'd be looking at that and going ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching.
Don't get me wrong. So we have quite a lot of, consultants and freelancers who make 1 year no beer work. There's a lot going on. We've got the world's largest alcohol-free festival in January. We've got the book coming out. We've got, as I mentioned, the app being built. We've got retreats. We don't call them that. We call them weekenders. Loads and loads and loads going on. So it's quite a big machine already. We originally launched it and gave it all away for free. And here's what happened. We worked with Stirling University and we realized that people weren't sticking to the program. And there's a lot of science out there that makes so people aren't accountable when they don't pay for something. So then when we started charging, which was in tail end of last year, suddenly our performance went through the roof, much better stickability, people improved their chances of getting through the challenge, etc. So that only and then we relaunched the site in February this year. The intention is to continue to monetize the program, but it's a way off for myself and Andy getting into it full time yet.
Right, okay, let's play the words of Jim Carrey and then we're going to delve back into this a little bit more. Here he is. Here's Jim.
My father could have been a great comedian, but he didn't believe that that was possible for him. And so he made a conservative choice. Instead, he got a safe job as an accountant. And when I was 12 years old, he was let go from that safe job. And our family had to do whatever we could to survive. I learned many great lessons from my father, not the least of which was that you can fail at what you don't want. So you might as well take a chance on doing what you love.
Now, it always leads into the question of, is this what you love? Do you wake up excited before even your eyes open? Does the idea of sort of 1 year no beer pop into your head?
I'm afraid so. I mean, if I talk about where my life has been, I feel that almost everything was inevitable and leading me to this point. I feel totally aligned. I feel that there is a major shift going on out there in the world. I feel that I and Andy are completely at the forefront, and that people are asking or wanting to change their relationship with alcohol quietly in the back of their mind. And they don't want to do it in a stigmatized way. They don't want to do it in a, I've hit rock bottom. They want to do it in a way of, can you help me? I want to change my relationship. And that's why we've seen this huge growth. So I'm extremely passionate about this. Yeah.
So would you say, Rory, that you can join up your dots? Is that what you're saying, sir?
I'm afraid so. Oh, every step of the way. You know, when you said about those businesses, I was a serial failpreneur. I wrote an email to an email. It wasn't even email. I wrote a letter to Richard Branson when I was 14 years old, telling him that I was looking forward to sitting down and having lunch with him one day. And I was totally determined, this little boy from Mull, that I was going to go out there and change the world. And now I've found my vehicle.
And did he respond? Did old Branson respond?
No, I know. We need to get a message out to him and let him know that I got no response to my handwritten letter from a 14-year-old boy.
What a git. What a git.
I'm not going to hold any grudges.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Richard, if you ask to come up and join up darts, I'm going to bring that up. I'm going to bring that up because we know how powerful Jim Will Fix It was in the 70s growing up, and how we don't often talk about Jim Will Fix It anymore, and I wouldn't Google it for numerous reasons, but, you know, you are now tarnished. You're now tarnished in the same way because you ruined a young child's dreams, Richard.
I wouldn't say ruined. I would say inspired for him to do better so that I could get a response.
No, play the card. Play the card. Just in case he's listening, Rory. Go on, bring him down. Right. Bring Branson down. All he's doing is waddling around on a surfboard.
I'm flying to Houston next week and I am flying BA.
That's it. I've just come back from BA, and I can be honest, they were miserable. They were miserable. If you get a chance of going on a flight, go on Virgin all the way. So, right, let's talk about 1 year no beer again. So, somebody comes along to you, and they're sort of dabbling. Is there a big bounce on your website, or do people sign up straight away? Because it is one of these things, as I say, at my core, I thought, I could just do this. I could do this. Why would I sign up? Is there sort of... Do people sign up straight away, or do they keep on coming back to it before they connect?
No, I think it's definitely a slow burner for people. They meet the concept, they hear about it on something like this, and then they want to find out more info. They come to the site, they stick their email in. We start sending them encouraging emails, some videos to try and get their mind in shape. Our program is very, very different to anything else out there. We use all the good stuff in positive psychology, the latest in behavioral change and habit change science. And what we're doing is we are repointing somebody's mind to the way they really want to be and what they want to achieve out of life, and we're putting pause, and you're dealing with some really delicate stuff, reasons why people drink, all of those things. And sure, somebody can just go out and stop drinking. They can go and do dry January. You can not call your friends, avoid the pub because you're scared, and learn exactly nothing and then drink like a fish for the rest of the year. Or you can come and actually do a program which is proven to change your mindset and help you change your relationship with alcohol. And if you choose to, you might want to carry on and never drink again, or not drink for a year, or you can go back to a more considered level of drinking. So most people come and they just sit around the pond and feed for a little bit, and when they feel the time is right. And the thing we say in all the videos and all of the content is there is never a good time. There is always an excuse of summer or a party or an event or a wedding or New Year's Day or whatever it is. Listen to me drinking on New Year's Day. And
you are Scottish.
Yeah, absolutely. Hogmanay. So that's the thing, is that those events are the reason to get started now. Because when you go and face those events with your new mindset, when you've got a tribe of people who are supporting you through it, and this is, we use community, forum, Facebook to help you have a tribe in your pocket that you feel you can belong to while you're making this change. When you do that, then you start to have a major shift in your brain about the mindset around alcohol. And that's what we need to do. And then it requires no willpower. And that's the key. If you go out and use I don't know if you've talked about this before, David, but willpower has been proven to be a muscle. If you deplete your willpower muscle, so for instance, I wake up in the morning and I'm trying to decide what clothes to wear, and I force myself not to eat that bread and blah, 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 all those things I'm trying to do. By the time I get to the end of the day and I'm tired and knackered and triggering for alcohol, your willpower is going to be knackered and you're going to fall into alcohol. So the way we protect you in the early days is we try and change your mindset around alcohol so that you see it for what it is, and it requires no willpower at all.
I agree with that. I've got a tremendous willpower, but every week, I've never shared this on the show, every week I fast for 24 hours. Sometimes I go 48 hours just to prove to myself I can do that. And generally it's Thursday and Friday. Thursday's quite easy because I record Join Up Dots. So by the end of the day, when I first started doing it in Join Up Dots, by sort of mid-afternoon, after doing 7 shows, not eating, I started getting these migraines. And I thought, I can't keep this up. But my body's kind of got used to it now. So yeah, every week I have this mindset willpower training, because I think if I can do this, then I can do anything. If I can make it there, I'll make it anywhere. And it's all about in your head.
Beautiful karaoke, David.
I know, it's good. I'm going to do Never Gonna Give You Up one day. One day I'm going to do Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley and set the world alight. So look, let's talk about your video and email marketing, because that intrigues me, because you know that building an audience is a slow burn, because I see so many people, and I made the same mistake, that whack up a website, you can sign up for my program for £12 million and wonder why nobody does it. What kind of things do you send out? How often do you send out the emails? And did you find it hard to think about what to send out at the beginning before it found its natural flow?
Without doubt. I mean, this program is 2.5 years in the making now. It launched February last year, so we're 1.5 years live, and it's gone through tons of iterations. From the first, we built 3 websites that never actually launched, in scaling levels of cost because they were so badly done. We've had unbelievable amounts of trouble with digital and tech people, and it is mind-boggling, and the learning curve has been expensive. And that's the thing for us, is that I'm not going to sit here and pretend that we're a nice, gently, organically grown business. Andy and I have invested a large amount of money into this program, we truly believe in its potential, and its potential to change a lot of lives. I think the most powerful things for us are community, and fostering that sense of community. And the easiest way to do that is through Facebook groups. I know there's a lot of call out there. I think if I was starting again, I might even just start with Facebook only. How can you go against 2 billion people? And I'm pretty sure that's a big enough pond for anyone to make a slice of the pie. Facebook, very powerful. And now we're starting to work on Facebook adverts. We've done a bit of Facebook ads last year, and now we're focusing a bit more on the Facebook adverts. Again, you can get so very targeted, so very specific. And when we talk about targeted and specific, it's so key to be focused on exactly who you're trying to target. Yeah. And we have wasted so much money trying to target everyone and change the world and, give it away for free and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. The avatar is absolutely key. When I started Join Up Dots as a podcast, I thought that I had created the perfect avatar, John Up Dots and Joan Up Dots, and I could tell you what these people were doing and where they spent their time and stuff. And it kind of worked to a point. But I realised as I progressed through that I hadn't drilled down enough with Join Up Dots to what I was actually bringing to the table. I couldn't work out how to actually monetize the show. Now, if you actually do spend the time on thinking about who you're targeting for your customer and actually go out, do your market research and ask these people, these kind of people that you think about, is this something for you? It saves so much money. It's unbelievable, but we don't. We all sit in our offices, we all go, I've got an idea, and we whack up a website and we spend all our time doing it. Very few people go out onto a Facebook group and say, hi guys, I'm thinking of starting this business. Would this be something that would interest you? Just simple as that. And I'm
going to go and do that. I'm going to do that from this call. Thank you very much, David.
It's a win, and I do that a lot now. I do that a lot, and I spend time just asking questions. Now, once you build your community, one of the brilliant things that I found with my community of podcasting legends is I basically say to them, what are you struggling with? If I could bring something to the market, what would help you, And they tell you, and you go, oh, that's good. And then you create that. And then there's an audience there waiting to buy. Ask. Don't be cheesy. Don't be salesy. Just say, I want to do this. And I tell you what, you will save thousands. But it's a real mindset journey. You've got to sort of get through that imposter syndrome where we all kind of try to create that we are Richard Branson right at the very beginning before accepting that actually we're not and we don't want to be. And then it all starts to come together for you. What do you think, Rory?
Yeah, I think you've absolutely hit the nail on the head. That's brilliant. I loved what you said there about going out and asking people, because we've been trying to drill down further into our avatar as we speak, just over the last few days, really drill down into that. And I was having a conversation with a colleague this morning on the way in and thinking, why hasn't he come and joined our program? And I probably need to go and sit down and ask him exactly that.
Yeah, absolutely. You sit down and ask him and he will say, it's because of this, it's because of that. And products. Now, Branson, let's get back onto that old beardy bloke who made that small child cry. Yeah, that him. We don't want to talk about him. But one of the things that he says is that there are so many business opportunities. If you let one pass, there's another one coming along. You just have to ask the right questions and be looking in the right direction. Now, one of the things that I find that so many people that I used to do a lot of business coaching, not so much anymore, but one of the things that people used to sort of come up with was, I can't think of any ideas that haven't been done before. That's a big failing, isn't it? That's a big trying to recreate, 1 year no beer or trying to recreate Facebook is a big failing. You just have to look at what's already out there, what's already popular and bring your own thing to the market. Do you think?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely spot on. So for Andy and I, we sat down together and we said, right, we want to do something. We're in oil broking. We want to eventually get into something else. We want to get into well-being. We love this stuff around positive psychology. We've both been studying it for most of our lives. Andy done a master's in positive psychology. And we said, how do we get into that? And we drew lots of lovely bubbles with ideas like mindfulness apps and all these kind of things. And for us, then we said, well, what about this alcohol thing? We see it from such a different light. And when we both individually searched out there, we just found nothing that fit us. And we talked to other people and they said, I'd found, and they'd all looked at what was out there and it was either too feminine or too stigmatized, look, you've reached rock bottom, come here, will help us. And how do we get the people who just want a positive change in their life? So, that's where it came from. It came from drilling down into a niche and then thinking about how you can approach it from a different avatar's perspective.
And
what avatar is not being fixed or accommodated by a certain niche.
And are you your perfect avatar? And Andy,
totally.
When you look at it, you think yourself, actually, I'm creating a business for me.
We have to remember, because I think there is a tendency to go into a bit evangelical when you drop booze, and a lot of people do get very evangelical. And so there was a tendency for us to market to ourselves at the time when we did. So we'd started the business, we were writing the book, and then we were writing as if we were that person that day. And we realized we need to go back to who we were. I would have absolutely no interest in speaking to vegans and, the extremities of it. But, now Andy's chosen a life of veganism. But I would never have gone down that route, and he would never have gone down that route with us. So we had to cast ourselves back to who we were and how much we loved the booze. We loved it, thought it was the be all and end all, had so much fun. It was the only place we had fun. But then bring into it the fact that it causes all these problems. And how do you encourage somebody to say, look, come and try this, come and do this, and actually all those problems will disappear. And a lot of the things that you're taking alcohol for, to be fun, to be funny, to have low social anxiety, to sleep well, it's actually causing those problems in the first place, and they all disappear.
I see your platform 100% as mindset training, basically. It's
exactly.
Focusing in on something. It's like you could almost have done no sex for a year. Other than that's a completely stupid idea, and I wouldn't want to sign up for that in any shape or form. Although I think my wife has already created that in a weird sense, and she hasn't got her own website, but she's probably got millions of members already signed up for that, all walking around in skirts.
There's something very key there, David, as well, is because some people say, well, pregnant women, I did 9 months off and I didn't feel any of these benefits. And you've hit the nail on the head. Mindset training. When you are forced to do something, when your doctor tells you you've reached the end, you must stop drinking, blah, 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 you're always going to pine for it. You're always going to want it because something is holding you back. You're always going to hold it up on this high level of like, I wish I could have alcohol again. I can't because I'm pregnant or I've got this problem. And therefore, you're only facilitating the problem that we've got in the first place, and that's your mindset. And so when we do the mindset change, so that's I say to pregnant women. I say to pregnant women all the time, like I'm always hanging around with pregnant women. But the thing I would say is this is a very different thing. This is a mindset shift.
Yeah, I think that. And that applies to everything, doesn't it? That really is. I was in the pub last night, as I say, talking to my wife, and my wife is such a half glass empty person. She really is. My glass is overfilling that I need a bucket underneath it. I always look at the positive on everything. And generally, everything good happens to me. And even if it doesn't happen, I don't care because it just become good the next day. And I said to her, why don't you change your mindset? She said, I can't. It's just how I am. And I said, no, it's not. You're not surrounding yourself with the right people. You're not. And she said, oh, don't do your join up speech on me. I don't want that, And she does. It works very well on a microphone, but when I'm in my underpants scratching myself, she doesn't see me in the same way, Rory. She doesn't see me in the same way as all my listeners. And so she just basically tells me to shut up. But I think one of the things is that she's not surrounded by community. And what you've done, as you've already touched on, you've found that community. And it's so much easier to start moving in the right direction when you have got kindred spirits around you. So can these people, these 16,000 members, can I actually reach out and touch each other, or is it all virtual?
No, they can. It's so key. I mean, some fantastic science and research going on out there in addiction right now. What we know is that the opposite of addiction is connection. In Portugal, they had one of the worst drug problems in the world globally. They decriminalized it. They forced companies to invite drug addicts into have a job, and they created communities around their drug addicts. They now have one of the lowest problems, or drug problem dramatically reduced, crime reduced, amazing change in basically a decade. And and another bit of research around that is that we used to stick a rat in a cage, put alcohol and water. The rat would tap away at the water, tap away at the alcohol, love the alcohol, get addicted, and then kill itself from drinking the alcohol. But so they were like, well, alcohol's an addictive substance. This is why it's killing people, blah, 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 blah. Then along came a research scientist. I can't remember the name right now. That'll be the ADHD. And he stuck a rat park, massive, great big cage, loads of rats, lots of things to do, spinning wheels, all that fantastic stuff. And the rats touch the water, touch the alcohol, and never touch the alcohol again. And this is very key. So when we build community for people who are living a way they want to live, striving for happiness, striving for better health, striving for productivity, striving for, achieving their goals in life and dreams, and, living a vibrant life, then you create a belonging for people that means they won't go back to the old way. They just won't. So the first step for community is the amazing thing we have today is social media, and that's where the vibrant of the community is. And you can feel that straight away. You log in, sign up, and you come in and you can chat away to the Facebook group. You can be in a pub and say, oh my God, my friend's forcing me to have a shot, what shall I do? And bang, you get 20 comments, 40 comments of support, ideas, tactics, tips. Take one sip, go to the toilet, pour it away, come back to the different side of the bar, order a non-alcoholic version or something that looks like it. And this is called stealth drinking, and we do a lot of teaching around stealth drinking. Come back to your group, sit there, nobody will know you're not drinking. And so then the next stage is meetings, meetups. As I mentioned, doing Tough Mudders. I've got Tough Viking in Stockholm. We've got a bunch of us going to that. Not this weekend, but next weekend. Following weekend after that, we're doing a sort of SAS day with the guys at Breakpoint. Ollie Ollerton, who is on the series Who Dares Wins, he's our ambassador. We did a partnership with them, and we've got a day down there sort of being trained in military stuff and then putting through a situation, whatever that means. So, but we're out there doing stuff. And, it's not just Tough Mudders and things. It's park runs or sober raves. But the tribe part of it is so key. And the other thing we're doing is connecting people. I think that I missed a step. First step is social media. Second step is online and video. And that's getting together face-to-face with people online and chatting. And then third step is meetings and meetups, seminars, things like that.
I think this is brilliant. I really think this is brilliant. And why I love this so much is I speak to so many people that are just online. And now online is brilliant. It gives you the ability to connect globally with people you just couldn't. But you're getting out there as well, and you're in parks and you're in the community and you're actually meeting people. And that is the perfect mix, I think, that you're doing online and offline, because it can become quite isolated, can't it?
It's got to translate. And that's the part, is that actually there's so much science out there about the problems with social media. And if you think about this, often we have to go with the lesser evil. I was talking about this last night. Imagine your willpower's like a dam, and you've decided that you're going to not eat bread and you're going to exercise every day and you're going to try and meditate. And by the way, you're giving up alcohol and all these things and not going to bite your nails. And that dam is massive because it's holding back this tidal wave behind it. You've got the Hoover Dam going on there, and that pressure builds, especially when you're tired, especially when you're stressed. Now, if you don't let the pressure go of that dam, the whole thing is going to come crashing down. Everything. You'll be eating cake, drinking booze. It will just come completely crashing down. So the best thing is to choose which part of the dam you want to let some pressure away. And, that might be, right, I'm not going to let the booze go because I know that rolls off the edge. I'm just going to have a bit of cake, or I'm going to be devious because that's part of me. So I'm going to tell my wife, as I always used to, that the trains were delayed, even though I'm in the pub, and I'm going to do that anyway, just because it gives me a little tick and release some pressure. That's the way my crazy mind works. Whoopee. Yeah.
I used to just say, I just had a couple. It was quite obvious I hadn't had a couple because I could barely speak. Everyone says that. Yeah, but I used to just had a couple. They were strong ones. And then if I ended up throwing up, I would say it was a bad pint. It didn't matter that I'd drunk about 9 of these bad pints. It was just a bad pint.
It was a bad one. It had a bad pint. And I've got to sit next to a guy who's, his wife has stopped believing him when he says that he fell asleep on the train. So now he has to take a picture of the day's paper next to the clock in Norfolk because he's living out on that line. And when he falls asleep, he wakes up in Norwich. So he's got to take a picture of the paper with the with the clock in the background to prove he did sleep on the train.
He's become like a kidnap victim. He's like the John McCarthy of the British rail system, holding up photographs. That's just bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a new level.
I think we need to have him on the show, and we need to tell him to get a grip. Get a grip. He's in charge here. If he wants to go out and do that, it's up to him. It's not up to her.
Yeah, well, it wears a bit thin, doesn't it? Marriage is about boundaries and, in reality, respect, boundaries, all those good things. And, if you want a long, happy marriage and you don't want to go through 3 divorces, falling asleep on the train and waking up in Norwich twice a week is probably not the best thing to be doing.
Yeah, but I don't want to be taking photographs of myself holding up newspapers all the time. That's just madness. Well, let's play some words now. That's going to lead us seamlessly to the end of the conversation. These are words that were mentioned back in 2005 by Steve Jobs, and we listen to them on every show. Here's Steve.
Of course, it was impossible to connect the dots looking forward when I was in college, but it was very, very clear looking backwards 10 years later. Again, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. Because believing that the dots will connect down the road will give you the confidence to follow your heart, even when it leads you off the well-worn path. And that will make all the difference.
I think it's going to be a stupid question, but do those words inspire you when you listen to them, Rory?
That is exactly it. I mean, the hairs are standing up on my arm. That is exactly how I've always felt. And, you know, I've been in counseling since I was six years old. They wanted to diagnose me with ADHD and drug me. My parents refused, so we took the counseling route instead. And I kept talking about, you know, feeling destined and all this stuff and not knowing. I can't see, and being very frustrated my whole life, but knowing. And it's such a weird thing to know what he's just said at your core. But hey, if I get knocked down by a car tomorrow, then I was about to say I guess I wasn't right, but I think what I've set in motion now with 1 year no beer is now unstoppable. I think that with the ambassadors coming forward, that even if I did die tomorrow, this incredible movement, this massive change is going to carry on without me. And that really lights my fire.
So that's a key question, really. So do you think you couldn't have done this on your own? Did you think it would be a pale version of what you've got?
In what way on my own? I think that everything that happened or does happen is integral to making what it is today. So I don't... Do you mean if I did it without Andy, or?
Yeah, without Andy and without the ambassadors. If it was just like, you know, I've done Join Up Dots just on my own, and I'll be honest, in the early days, it almost killed me. It really did.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I literally aged overnight. And but now
lost a lot of hair.
Yeah, I lost a lot of hair, and
judging by the picture.
I'm now getting sexy again. That's why I try to keep away from people touching me, because it just goes too far. So I struggled with wanting to do everything myself, and I look back on it and I think to myself, could I have got a partner? Would I have wanted to? I'm a bit anal. I'm a bit kind of creatively controlling. Would I have allowed somebody to help? Did you need Andy? Was Andy your ant and deck?
Without a doubt. So there is an insane amount of energy inside of me, and I feel like this project is moving through me, not being my creation. It's all part of, you know, what's going on in the greater world. I feel it's moving through me, and I literally feel like it's a volcano erupting through me. And so I end up getting hyper activity, trying to do everything all at once. And it's exhausting for other people, and they try to keep up. And I have to sort of temper myself. But, you know, Andy, without a doubt, you know, he's the one who did most of the studying and brought a lot of the science into the background. And I think if what I was looking for, if you wind back, I always felt like I was destined. I got into broking. I started numbing myself more and more and more. And I just sort of forgot about destiny. I forgot about those things, and years passed. And I sort of focused on life a bit. So I'm not going to have any negatives against that, because I got a wife and a child and focused on life for a bit. But then when I stopped drinking, I suddenly went, oh my God, I'd be forgotten about this. I've got destiny to come up with. And Andy gave me the tool for that. He's the content guy. He's the content guy, and I became the driver, the business driver. And we're very, very different. And that's why it makes it great. You know, he wants to write books. He realized that he's not through going alcohol free, he realized he's not an extrovert. He's actually an introvert. Couldn't believe it. He's been taking alcohol his whole life to force himself to be an extrovert. And again, since then, we've found so many people who feel the same with that and resonate with that. Much like I've found so many people who resonate with the fact that they've got ADHD or ADD and they've been numbing themselves with alcohol. It's so common because we've got unhinged, hyperactive brains. We move much quicker than other people. We think quicker, faster. And we also, key to this, we have a deep feeling that there is something greater. And that pushes almost all ADHD people to go beyond. I wrote an article about how ADHD is actually my superpower. And it got a lot of attention. It's on Mind Body Green, and how it has been the key thing which has helped me succeed, or if you look at it, fail in reality, fail many, many, many times, but get to the inevitability that is success.
Oh, I think failure is brilliant. I really do. And I look back at every failure that I've had now, and I think, thank God. God. I remember setting up communities and stuff, but I look at it now and I think, if I had set that up and it had gone off like a rocket, I'd be in front of my computer 15 hours a day. I wouldn't be free, but I couldn't see it at the time. So yeah, if you have a failure in your life, you just move on. And I would say you look back on them, and literally every single one, you go, thank God I moved in the direction that I'm going, because it all comes together in the end.
We have such a warped understanding of failure. I don't understand why we teach this to our children. I won't teach it to them. I'm trying not to, but I think if we thought like a Hoover, a robot Hoover. Now, when you place that robot Hoover down in your house, it first of all has to bump off every object. So it has to have 99.9% of failure until it gets to success. And then it never touches anything again. And if we think about that I'm literally just going to bang, 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 then eventually I get to it. Then it'd be water off a duck's back.
I would like a life when I bang, 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 but I don't think it's going to get me productive. It really isn't. It's just going to keep me on a one-track mind to I don't know where I'm going to end up. But I do know where this show's going to end up because we are now there. And this is the bit of the show that we call a sermon on the mic, when we send you back in time to have a one-on-one with your younger self. And if you could speak to the younger version of Rory, what age would you choose and what advice would you give? Well, we're going to find out because I'm going to play the music, and when it fades, you're up. This is the sermon on the mic.
Here we go with the best bit of the show, the sermon on the mic, the sermon on the mic.
Brewery, I know you're just 14, but I want to say that you are absolutely right. What you believe inside is going to happen, just not the way you think it is. You must go through a very tough journey. Mistakes and hardships will happen, pain and frustration, but keep trusting that it is all meant to be and learn from them. Keep believing that it is all part of the course. Every bump, setback and failure is taking you ever closer to your dreams. Your failures are merely lessons. Learn from them, and your destination is inevitable. So comfort yourself in those dark moments. Everything happens for a reason. P.S. Do not sleep with Sally. She is a total psycho.
I think I've been there as well, actually. I've had a couple of Sallys in my life. My God, Rory, you've taken me back to... I think we all have. Yeah, you've taken me to... Right, let's bring the show to an end. So what's the number one best way that our audience can connect with you?
Come and join us at www.oneyearnobeer.com. We don't need to see the www anymore, do we? oneyearnobeer.com, all written out. We're on Facebook, 1 Year No Beer. We're on Instagram, 1 Year No Beer. Twitter, OYMB UK. Come and check out all the goodies. Come and join the challenge. It is a life changer.
Absolutely. I think it's brilliant, and I wish you all the success in the world with it. And Rory, thanks you so much for spending time with us today, joining up those dots. And please come back again when you've got more dots to join up, because I do believe that by joining up the dots and connecting our past is the best way to build our futures. Rory, thank you so much.
Thanks, David.
What a lovely guy. What a lovely guy Rory from the brewery was. And this shows you that once you find your thing, it almost runs away with you, and it's unbelievable. You sort of look at yourself and you think, oh, why didn't I see this? Why didn't I see this before? And as he said, he's almost created a product which he was the ideal avatar for. And so if you are in a situation where you're doing something and you think, oh, this is rubbish, I don't know why we have to do it this way, more often than not, there's other people going to be thinking the same thing. And even if you're in an office environment, there are things that you will be doing on a daily basis that just kind of a bit stupid. Other people will be thinking the same way. I used to create internal podcasts in my office just because it was an easy way to communicate with people, and now I'm doing it sort of externally for my own business. Everything can be translated as long as there's a need at the other end. And if you think there's a need, more often than not there is, but you need to get out there and ask people, I've got this idea. Do you think this is going to be a good thing? And if it is, go for it. Go for it, and we will support you all the way. Well, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Join Up Darts. It was great to be back in the saddle of the microphone. I haven't done this for quite a few weeks, and you're going to hear from me again soon. See you later. Cheers. Bye-bye.
David doesn't want you to become a faded version of the brilliant self you were once to become. So he's put together an amazing guide for you called the 8 Pieces of Advice that every successful entrepreneur practices, including the 2 that changed his life. Head over to joinupdots.com to download this amazing guide for free, and we'll see you tomorrow on Join Up Dots.